Hello my dear friends and welcome to my channel. Don't forget to make yourself a cup of tea because today we have very interesting stories and one of them is a story about a sick OP with his sweet service dog and about a random woman who stole that dog for her kid. Subscribe if you haven't and I hope you'll enjoy it. Little backstory. I'm the middle of 5 kids and it's a complicated mess from my mom being married 3 times. Basically the order of us is my older sister from her first marriage that was raised by her grandmother for reasons I was never told. There's me and my younger brother from her second, he's only a year younger than me and we've always been super close because we were raised together. Then there's my stepsister, who's a few weeks young and a stepbrother a few years older than me from her third and last marriage. That man was a saint and treated me more like a daughter than my waste of skin father ever did. The oldest among us is almost 10 years older than me and because she had a kid young, I was 8 when my first nephew was born. Thankfully, she didn't live with the rest of us then, but when she moved back in with us when I was older, around 16, she had some fight with her baby daddy and bailed. I somehow became a free babysitter for her kids every weekend. This pissed me off a lot because my mom not only allowed it, she told me I had no choice because she needed time from the kids, never mind the fact that I'm juggling school, a part-time job and army cadets, and she was a stay-at-home mom. I had one night to myself each week to do my homework or go out with my friends and my sister would bugger off and leave me with her crotch goblins. She didn't even have the decency to feed them first and those little craps, ages 2, 7, and 8, were picky eaters. And trying to do my homework with these 3 fighting was more than I could take. It came to a point that I stopped coming home till late on my days off and just heading to the library or friends instead. This was also in the days before cell phones were commonplace and cost like $900 upfront, so my sister couldn't text to demand where I was. I often missed the days before texting and social media for reasons like this. I know, ironic. As soon as I would walk in the door, she practically bolted and got angry if I told her I had to go to work or cadets. Other problems she caused were things like when my boyfriend would pick me up before school and she would hit on him. Once she grabbed his car keys and dropped them down the front of her pants and told him if he wanted them, he would have to grab them. He quickly responded that he didn't want his hands anywhere near her filthy claptrap and we ended up walking. I lived close enough to the school, but he didn't and I had to lend him my bus paw until I could get his car keys back. Or she poked fun at a friend of mine who was really short due to Turner syndrome, calling her a beach ball because of her height combined with a DD cup size. On top of that, my mom and stepdad, who were truck drivers, were home less and less as we got older. My mom had made me start to parent when I got my part-time job, about $50 a week that went into helping the bills. I hated that because I didn't make a lot and bus passes were not cheap. My mom also started to tell me that the money that I would give her for my rent was to go to my sister to buy groceries. My sister, on the other hand, goes shopping with our other sister, then lie to my mom and tell her that I didn't give her the money. Has to start getting her to sign receipts from a book I got at a dollar store just to prove she was full of crap. Anyways, this went on for close to 2 years. Sorry for the long backstory, but this woman was the bane of my teen years and part of my 20s. What finally broke the camel's back was my 18th birthday. My mom and stepdad couldn't be there because of work, which was fine, and I had bought a nice dress to wear with some friends at the bar. Legal drinking age where I live is 18. They also told me they would be home the morning after, so we could grab lunch together after they had a nap. The cast. Me. Sis, entitled idiot sister. I got home from school to shower and get dressed to head out because of her antic. I had a lock installed on my bedroom door and I didn't want her kids in my room because they would break things. I was in such a hurry that I forgot to relock my door while I was in the shower and when I got back to my room, she was there trying to zip up the dress I bought on her, but she was too fat to manage it. Take that off and get the hell out of my room. Sis, but I need something to wear tonight, I'm going out and you have to watch the kids. Me, the hell I am. It's my 18th birthday. I'm going out. Sis, but I need you to watch them. You haven't been home and I can't afford a sitter. Then I hear a rip as one of the side seams bursts open. Smugly, my sister takes off the dress and drops it to the floor. Sis. Looks like you're not going now. And she walked out of my room. I checked the dress, the stitches on the seam broke so I could fix it in less than 5 minutes. I called my boyfriend and told him what's going on, and he told me he would handle it and to get ready to go. I fixed the dress, got ready, and as I finished my makeup, I heard my sister start screaming in rage. I go outside and barely hold back my laughter. All four tires on her car are flat. Then my boyfriend pulls up, and I pout at her, "Looks like you won't be going." And we leave. Boyfriend had parked his car down the street and snuck over to let the air out, but not slash them. He wasn't that much of an idiot. The night was a blast, what I remember of it. I didn't get home to the butt crack of dawn, just as my parents got home. Mom didn't say anything, just asked if I had fun, and told me to be up by 11 so we could go and eat. I went to my room and collapsed into bed. I heard my sister start to whine to them in the kitchen, must have thought she could turn this to get me in shot, but my mom wasn't having any of it and tore into her like I had never heard before. Not only was my sister called selfish and childish for trying to pull such a stunt, that she was not living there for free any longer. She was given 30 days to either get a job or leave. She moved back in with her baby daddy 2 weeks later. Apparently she had been seeing him the whole time she was living with us and was getting welfare checks without giving my parents a dime to help out, while not even buying so much as a box of cereal for her kids. To this day I hate when any of my siblings, even my younger brother, asks me to watch their kids. I don't hate my nieces and nephews, far from it. I just don't want to be in the situation of being that run-to-free babysitter. I'm also the only one among us 5 who doesn't have kids, and I'm perfectly content with that. What a horrible woman. To be honest, I feel bad for her kids and hope they don't have the same mentality when they grow up. OP, I'm glad you got a little bit of comeuppance. Your boyfriend sounded like an absolute treat. I hope you're either still with him or had a fair amicable ending. I have PTSD, depression, and at the time, undiagnosed bipolar disorder. This will explain some of my behavior throughout. When my conditions got worse, I adopted a 1.5-year-old McNabb collie, short-hair border collie, sight hound mix to be my psychiatric service animal. He looks like a small greyhound with a collie's markings, head and paws. He is insanely smart and picked up training really quickly. When I would have a panic attack coming on, he was trained to perform a very specific signal to get my attention and alert me to sit down while he tried to distract me. This is important later. My wife calls me a fainting goat because when I panic, I lose consciousness with little notice and drop wherever I am. My job was not safe for my dog to come with me at the time, so while I was searching for better employment, my wife would look after him. I was working about 15 minutes away from my apartment at the time when I got a panicked call from my wife saying my dog had been stolen. I don't ask questions, I just pack up my bag and jacket and bolt for the door. Manager asks what happened, and I tell him my dog's been stolen, and he tells me to keep him updated. I made it home in 5 minutes, and my wife is outside sobbing with our roommate looking like he is gonna kill someone. I ask what happened and they tell me that they had been sitting on our enclosed front porch next to the complex entrance drinking coffee. It was a sunny day, and McNabb's is bred for really hot weather, so my dog was sunning himself on the sidewalk on the other side of the half wall that separates our porch from the sidewalk. All our neighbors know him and he's a herder, so he never went more than 15 feet from his pack and would constantly come check in with us. He wasn't wearing his vest or collar as they were in front of our place. They hadn't seen him for maybe 15 minutes, and when he wasn't on the sidewalk they panicked and started asking people if they'd seen anything. The guy walking his dog said he saw someone loading a dog matching mine into their car and driving off. That's when they freaked out and called me. I panicked and called 911 immediately, saying someone had stolen my service animal. In our state, animals are considered people, so stealing a dog is akin to actual kidnapping and taken very seriously. There was an officer at our door in 5 minutes getting our statement, along with a man who saw what happened and was nice enough to wait. Officer put my number in his phone, gave me his card and said to call if I heard anything. We started wandering the neighborhood asking anyone outside if they had seen a dog matching mine. Striking out walking the 4 blocks of surrounding neighborhoods, we start calling every pet store and vet in the area, starting close and working our way out. After 2 hours of calling and being on the verge of passing out, I called one last store I had forgotten about. They tell me there is a dog matching mine with a woman who has him on a makeshift lead in the store. I ask the employee to go over, say his name and hold his hand up like he's signaling someone to halt. He does, and my dog does what he was trained to do, which is stand up and hug that arm to get my attention and break me out of an anxiety spiral. I tell them to keep them there and I'll be there in 2 minutes. On my way, my roommate calls the officer, who says he's in an emergency but will call me as soon as he's done. We get there and we see a car matching the dog walker's description in the parking lot. There is a kid, maybe 10-ish, sitting in the passenger seat with the window down playing phone games. I recognize the car as one from the complex across the street from us. We walk into the store and I spot my dog with an impatient-looking woman standing near the counter. I call my dog and he immediately rips out of the woman's grasp and bounds over, trying to tackle me. I go up and in not so friendly words, ask the woman what the actual hell she thought she was doing stealing my dog. She makes some terrible excuse about believing he was a stray and was trying to take care of him. I responded with thank you for taking care of him, but screw you for stealing him. The employee tries to tell me to calm down and says I am being unfair and she was trying to do a good thing. I snap at him that he needs to stay out of this because he is not helping. The M then says in the snooty tone that Karens have patented, well, I asked a bunch of people and tried to see who owned him, but no one answered, so I rescued him. My roommate pipes up with idiot, I am 6'3", have bleached blonde hair, and was sitting in the sun 15 feet from the dog. You did not try hard enough. She starts to lecture me about starving him because you can see his ribs and he was so hungry. He has a very high metabolism, working breed, and an allergy to starches, so I make his food from home. He literally eats healthier than I do. She then tells me that it's a lie because he ate an entire 5 pounds bag of crappy kibble before they came to the store, and I about decked her. By this time she is getting angry and trying to act like I'm a terrible person and don't deserve my dog, and that there is no way he's a service dog, even though I have his vest in my hand. She then has the gall to suggest that her and her kid could take so much better care of him. The employee tells me to be more polite and that I was out of line treating her this way, and if I didn't behave I would be removed from the store. The employee's manager had come out after hearing yelling and, without knowing any of the situation, threatened to call the cops on my roommate and I for harassing this poor woman. I pull out the officer's card and tell him I'll save him time because the officer has my report, and if he had been there instead of me, the woman would be going to jail for kidnapping. She panics and beats it out of there while I'm still arguing with the manager. As we are leaving, the employee follows us to the door and the manager lectures us about treating the woman badly and that I was banned from his store. I flip him off and we head home. I called the cop, but in my panic had forgotten to get the license plate, so he told me to keep an eye out for her in the future. My dog got a steak and veggie dinner that night, but started throwing up. He spent the next 3 months working that crap food out of his system and itching and chewing himself raw in places. I ended up staying home for 3 days with a constant anxiety attack, but my boss was chill and gave me extra vacation pay. The only good thing that came from the whole debacle besides getting my dog back was the next day I called the owner of the pet store. They only had 3 locations, and I knew from shopping at one of the other stores that he was usually there 3 days a week. I explained what happened and how the manager and employee had treated me, and he told me not to worry. I should swing by his main store to pick up a free cow bone for the pup and he would handle the rest. I found out later that the employee was immediately terminated and the manager was demoted and eventually fired for crappy customer service practices. What is most interesting in this story is that this woman truly believes she's on the right side in saving the dog. She can't understand that she actually stole the dog from you. I'm shocked. Recently we moved from Missouri to Ohio for my husband's job. We moved during the summer and have children at 3 different schools, but all 3 schools use the intersection kitty corner from our house. My younger 2 go to primary school here, which is kindergarten through 2nd grade. Since the kids are so young, many parents walk their kids down, but some have recently started driving 2 blocks from their house to the bus stop. Well, there is one mom in this green Jeep that has made it a habit to park on our grass in the afternoon to wait for her child. I didn't make a big deal about it the first few times, but after a week straight of rain during the fall, her Jeep made huge muddy tire tracks in our grass. I'm talking 4-inch deep, huge marks where the Jeep was nearly stuck. She had to back up to get out after 5 minutes of letting the tires spin. The following day I walked up to her Jeep and knocked on her window. I kindly asked her to not park on our grass anymore, especially when the ground was so wet, and pointed to the large tire marks. She gave me a really snotty look and rolled her window up. I don't like confrontation, so I was sort of relieved when the following day, a Friday, she parked somewhere else. Monday afternoon rolls around and I look out my window as she is pulling up and see her look to my front porch, where I normally sit to wait for my kids. When she didn't see me sitting there, she peels into my grass, into the same tire marks as before, and digs them in another 2 or 3 inches with mud flying everywhere. I was beyond livid, but I knew this wasn't going to go anywhere if I tried talking to her again. So I made a beautiful professional-looking sign and hung it up. The sign says, "Please do not park on our grass, smile, you're on camera." So we don't have a camera that points that way, but we do have a Ring doorbell that doesn't even point that way, but she didn't know that. She stopped parking there for 2 whole weeks until the rain and snow destroyed our sign. Today was the first day she decided to try parking there again, and I am so happy she did. Right after she got her kid in the car and went to take off, a police cruiser pulled up and cited her for parking too close to a stop sign. No, I didn't call them. It was all completely coincidental. Sounds like it's time to put up a small white picket fence that's reinforced with iron. Oh, and I'd get her plate number and put in a police report anyway. She clearly is doing it on purpose and destroying private property. Well guys, that's it for today. If you end up enjoying this video, please consider subscribing, and if you missed the last episode on the channel, I'm gonna link it right here. The story is about OP in a wheelchair who was on a bus, and about an entitled mother who almost got herself to a police station. Check this out if you haven't, and I'll see you in my next video.